Sahanavavatu.
Sahanavavatu.
Sahanau bhunaktu.
Sahanau bhunaktu.
Sahaviryam karavavahai.
Sahaviryam karavavahai.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So in the previous session I said, so Vedanta, otherwise known as Upanishad, which itself means Brahma Vidya, knowledge of the truth, serves as a means of knowledge of the truth. Therefore, the one who knows the value of the knowledge of the reality, the truth, he will study the Upanishad for knowledge. And who is the one who will be interested in knowing the truth? The one who knows the value of the knowledge means be interested in knowing the truth. And one who knows that the happiness, which is the ultimate choiceless end, happiness is the very nature of the reality. Therefore, knowing the reality is knowing what happiness is. And knowing what happiness is, freeing oneself from unhappiness. Therefore, happiness being the ultimate choiceless end, and knowledge, reality being happiness being the nature of the reality, discovery of the reality is discovery of what happiness is, and discovery of what happiness is discovery of freedom from unhappiness. The one who knows the value of knowledge will be interested in knowing the truth. As I said, we need not force anybody to study. Nobody can force other person. Once you know the value of the knowledge of the reality, it is this in knowing the reality I can know what happiness is. So happiness is not a state of mind. Happiness cannot be attained. You can always attain something which is away from you, far from you, distant from you. And happiness happens to be the very nature of reality. It is always there, everywhere there. In everything it is there. There is nothing which is not pervaded by happiness. There is no place where happiness is not. There is no time where happiness is not. Always, everywhere, in everything, happiness is. Happiness alone is the name of the reality. Still, we are unhappy. That is because we do not know what happiness is. Therefore, happiness is not to be attained, it is something to be discovered. Okay, now the next question is, like we said in last class, how does Upanishad help us understand this reality? How does Upanishad help us arrive at what the reality is? Now, Upanishad is the means of knowledge of the reality, but Upanishad helps us understand the reality, not as any object in the world. Upanishad helps us understand the reality as our own real nature, as our own self. Why? Because the reality of the whole cosmos is very much there as the reality of every individual being. Why? Because no individual being is there outside of the universe, outside of the whole. Like, just as there's no wave which is outside of there's no wave outside of the ocean. Similarly, there's no individual who is outside of the whole here. It says the truth of the ocean is the truth of the wave. Therefore, similarly, the same way, the truth of the entire universe is there as the truth of every individual. Therefore, Upanishad says, and when as an individual, every one of us here, every human being wants to be happy always, everywhere, with everybody. Therefore, every one of us is a seeker here. I can say I am a seeker. Every one of you can say I am a seeker, I am a seeker, I am a seeker, I am a seeker. So all of us are seekers. So all of us who are seekers, Upanishad tells, if you are, not if you are, you are a seeker of happiness. You are a seeker of the truth because you are a seeker of happiness. Some people knowingly search for happiness. Some people unknowingly search for happiness. When you search for happiness knowingly, you will not waste your time. You know where to search for it. Or unknowingly you search for it, you will be searching all over, the search will never come to an end because you are searching for something that is not available. Whereas once you know, you expose the teaching, you understand what I am searching for is happiness ultimately, and that happiness is available for discovery only as the nature of the reality. I have to discover the heat means I have to discover the heat only where there is fire. I have to discover the reality, happiness only as the nature of the reality. And the Upanishad says, because every one of us being the part of the whole, the truth of every wave is truth of the whole ocean. Truth of the whole ocean is the truth of every wave. So also the truth, the reality of the entire cosmos here is the truth of every one of us. Therefore Upanishad tells every individual here, come on, you are a seeker, and you are the truth. What does it say? You are the truth you are searching for. You are the reality you are searching for. You are the happiness you are searching for. I am searching for the truth of the entire cosmos. I am searching for the reality of the entire universe. And Upanishad says, yes, you are searching for the reality of the whole cosmos. And the same reality is, you are the same reality. Why? Because you are not outside of this universe. And one more thing, this reality of the whole cosmos is available for recognition only in your mind. Don't go and waste your time searching anywhere else. In your own mind means where? As the very truth of I. What is I? That is what you all the time use to refer to yourself. I is an expression, the first person singular pronoun. I, one single letter. I, the first person singular pronoun. I, used by every one of us to refer to ourselves, isn't it? That I I, when you say, it's a word. And when do you use that word I? To refer to yourself. I go, I come, I sit, I eat, I have got this, I. And that I is actually, when do you say that? Do you say when you're in sleep? When you're fast asleep, do you say, I go, I come, I sit? Do you say that? In sleep you don't say. Sometimes you say that's a different problem. Okay? You speak in sleep, that's a different problem. But usually when you're fast asleep, when you have sound sleep, you do not say I. Why you do not even speak? Why you do not speak? Why you do not say I? Why you do not say this? For you to say this universe is, these people are, these things are happening. For you to know this world is, first of all you should know you are. If you do not know that you are here, and you cannot know the world is around you. Is it clear? And when do you know the world is around you? Only when you know when you are. You know you are. Nobody can say, I don't know whether I am here or not, but the world is. Can you say that? No. You are very clear. You know you are. Only when you know you are, only then you also know there is a world around you. So whenever you know you are, that is called a waking state. What is waking state? Whenever you know you are, you know the existence of yourself, that is what is called a waking state. Whenever you do not know you are, but you are not knowing you are, then it is called a deep sleep state. Understand? So when you do not know you are, you don't go anywhere, okay? Please understand, you are always there. You are there not knowing your own existence. You are not knowing you are, then it is called a deep sleep state. When you are knowing your existence, when you know you are, it is called a waking state. Two different states. In both the states you are. In one state you are not knowing you are. In one state you are knowing you are. When you are knowing you are, when you also know there is a world around you. When you are not knowing you are, then you do not know that the world is there also around you. Understand? Therefore, now the question is, when you say, when you know you are, that's called a knowledge of existence of yourself. When you say, I know I am, that is called what? This knowledge of existence of yourself is, you are. Okay. When you are not knowing your own existence, when you are not knowing you are in deep sleep state, then there is no knowledge. So when you know you are in this waking state, we call it, that's called a manifest knowledge. When you are not knowing you are, there is still knowledge, but there is no manifestation of knowledge. Understand? So Upanishad says, this I, when I is waking state. When I is not, it is deep sleep state. Which means I is not there always, isn't it? I sense. The knowledge I am is not there always. You are always. The knowledge I am is not always. Got it? So when this knowledge I am comes, knowledge I am goes. Knowledge I am comes, waking state. Knowledge I am goes, deep sleep state. The knowledge I am comes, waking state. Knowledge I am goes, it is a deep sleep state. This knowledge I am comes and goes. But I am always. I am always. The knowledge of existence of myself in terms of I am, that is what? In what form does it go? The knowledge of existence of one's own self, obtaining in the form of a thought, which it comes and goes. Okay? Thought comes and goes. So not the thought is what? Manifestation of knowledge. Understand? So this manifestation of knowledge, obtaining in the form of a thought. So what is I? I is an expression of manifestation of knowledge, obtaining in the form of a thought. When there is manifestation of knowledge in the form of a thought, then expression is possible. So word is expression of the thought. When there is no thought, there is no expression. When there is a thought, there is an expression. So word presupposes knowledge. Manifest knowledge. So manifestation of knowledge presupposes what? The source of knowledge. Where does this thought rise? Where does this thought exist? Where does the thought resolve? Thought comes and goes, like a wave comes and goes. Wave comes, wave goes. Wave comes, wave goes. Wave comes, wave goes. Similarly, the thought comes, thought goes. Thought comes and goes. The thought form comes and goes. Where does the thought, now we said wave comes, wave rises, wave comes, wave goes. The wave form comes and goes. But where does the wave rise from? Where does the wave exist? Where does the wave resolve? In water. That water does not come and go. Is it clear? Water does not come and go. Similarly here, the knowledge, you can say I. First expression is what? I. First person singular pronoun, I. Then am. First just I. I is a first person singular, the expression of the manifestation of knowledge obtaining in the thought. When the thought rises, knowledge of thought rises, is the expression of the word. When the thought resolves, expression resolves. Now, where does this thought, I, okay, the knowledge, manifestation of knowledge obtaining in the thought, where does this thought rise from? Where does it exist? Where does it resolve? The thought comes and goes. There must be source of thought. Isn't it? There is a source of wave. There is a source of thought. The source of thought is source of knowledge. The manifest knowledge. Our thought is a manifestation of knowledge. The source of manifestation is pure knowledge. Source of manifestation is what? Pure knowledge. The knowledge, in what form does reality obtain? Reality obtains in the form of pure knowledge, from which the thought rises, which is a manifestation of knowledge, which comes and goes. What is the truth of the wave? Water. What is the truth of the knowledge? Manifestation of knowledge, of existence of one's own self in terms of I am. Expression is a manifestation of knowledge. Got it? Understanding or not? There is, understand? I'm not going to details today, just I'm going to stop here. But now understand, Upanishad says, don't waste your time. Yo veda nihitam guhayam parame vyoman. In Taittiriya Upanishad, this is a statement very clearly said, don't waste your time anywhere. This truth, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, this limitless reality implied with the term Brahma, all pervasive reality, limitless reality, timeless reality, time-wise, object-wise, spatially, limitless, one and the only reality, the truth is always there, available for recognition. Where is it available for recognition? Nowhere you can recognize as an object is available for recognition, not as an object of thought, but as the very truth, very source of the thought. available for recognition as the source of the thought, a source of knowledge, manifestation of knowledge. The source of manifestation of knowledge is pure knowledge. It rises, it's called a wave, resolves, it is water. The manifestation is thought resolves. Thought resolves is what? Source of thought is what? Pure knowledge. Okay? So reality is never available as an object. Object is an object of thought. But reality is not object of thought, but the truth of the source of the thought. You understand what I'm saying? Got it? Therefore, the Upanishad says it is always reality is available for recognition as very truth of I. So you can say wave is. What is wave? Wave is a small form which comes and goes. That's okay. What is that small form wave which comes and goes? What is that? You have to helplessly say wave which comes and goes is nothing but water, the H2O. Nothing but water. Even the water is not the wave at all, but the wave is water. Similarly, the all-pervasive abstract reality implied by the term Brahman and Atma, the truth is not any of the thoughts, but the knowledge obtaining in the form of a thought in terms of I am is nothing but the truth. Wave is water, so I is the reality. Therefore, I am the truth. Therefore, reality is available for recognition as the truth of I, as a swarupam of I, as the source of I thought. Therefore, you have to say, I am Brahma. Understand now? It's available. So, it is how it's available. It's not simply one day listening, it won't be clear. I'm just telling you here. So, it's available for recognition only in your own mind, as your own soul. So, the Upanishad says, Tattvamasi, you are the truth. And that you are happiness, you are fullness. And if you have to understand this, you have to repeatedly dwell upon this, and you have to assimilate it. Now how clearly you are seeing waves, water, how clearly what your doubtless knowledge you have. Similarly, you have to see that I am the truth. I itself am the reality. You must be able to see. And to see clearly that I itself am the reality implied by the term Brahma, you need a systematic, regular, consistent, continuous study of the Upanishad. And Upanishad says, no, this knowledge of what I am is called what? Self-knowledge. So reality of the whole cosmos implied by the term Brahma is available for recognition as the innermost essence of every being as the truth of I. Therefore, it's also implied by the term Atma. So, you are the truth. You are the truth. This is what the fact revealed shows. And once you discover the reality as your own self, therefore, you can discover happiness as your own real nature. You don't need to attain nature, happiness. You, in the wake of the knowledge of the reality as your own self, you can take ownership of happiness as your real nature. Is it clear? Therefore, here, that is why knowledge of one's own self, discovery of the truth of I, discovery of one's own self is the discovery of the truth of the whole. Discovery of the truth of the whole is discovery of the reality of the whole cosmos, the discovery of what happiness is. discovery of what happiness is, attainment of happiness, which is freedom from unhappiness. And this discovery of the truth of the whole is discovery of the truth, the whole being the truth. And discovery of the whole universe being the truth is what discovery of Bhagavan being the whole. Got it? Discovery of the Lord being the whole. All the same now. Discovery of one's own self is the discovery of the reality of the whole. Discovery the reality of the whole is discovery of what happiness is. Discovery of what happiness is what? Attainment of moksha. And discovery of the reality of the whole is also what? Discovery of the whole universe being the same truth. You not only you are the truth. What about the whole universe? The whole universe also is the truth. In discovering the truth, in discovering your own self being the reality, in the wake of the knowledge of yourself being the reality, you can discover every other being being the reality essentially. There's nothing which is not the reality here. All that is there's only the reality, and which is the understanding, the concept of the Lord being the whole. Understand? This is how Upanishad says. Okay, you can, this is how Upanishad helps you understand ultimately the truth, the happiness, not as an object, not as something other than yourself, not even as yours. It is you. Happiness is not yours. You are happiness. Okay? You don't need to see within, don't need to see outside. No way. Don't need to see inside you. Where should you search for the truth? Inside me or outside me? Neither inside you nor outside you. The truth is you. You are the truth. Truth is not inside you. Truth is not outside you. Truth, you are the truth. Okay. Now the next question comes. How does this much is understood very well. How does Upanishad help me arrive at the truth as being myself? Now you understood, Upanishad helps me arrive at the reality of the whole as the truth of myself. That is fine. The next question is, how does Upanishad help me arrive at the reality as, is it? Upanishad helps you understand the reality of the whole as the reality of yourself. That you have understood now. The next question is, how does Upanishad help me understand the reality obtaining as myself? This is a methodology, isn't it? Another method is there. That we will see tomorrow. Is it okay? Because we go about the head of the race. Is it clear until now? Very clear. Now if you come tomorrow, you will know how Upanishad helps you arrive at the reality of the whole, obtaining as yourself. Now the next question is that, if at all I discover the reality, obtaining as my own self, how does it help me discover happiness? Because you discover yourself, you discover reality, you discover reality, you discover happiness. And not only that, there is another thing is going to happen. What that is going to happen, we'll see tomorrow. Okay? Is it clear? Yeah, I covered quite a lot within a very short time.
That's the point when in the stories at a very
Climax.
At the climax, they say to be continued.
How many, you can feel free to tell me, how many of you felt a little tired and bored? Feel free. I won't be upset. I'm very happy to know that. Oh, too much boring. Okay?
Other way around. How enjoyed the teaching?
Is it a time?
It's 5:45 family. It's
Okay, we have time, no problem. Don't worry. I thought mainly because continuously you're listening, some break is important, isn't it? You all had good tea sometime back? You all had tea and snacks? Okay. In London, 6 o'clock means he's 7 o'clock, no?
Yes.
Here 7 o'clock I have to start class.
yes.
7, there's 6 to 7, Sanskrit chanting, then 7 to 8 chant Sanskrit. So I have 7 to 8, 8 to 9, okay. I had to forget the time. Okay, so I can say something different. Now this Atma thing we'll see tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow morning.
Well, tomorrow is summertime is ended and it is winter time, so it's 1 hour difference. Not only the London-Frankfurt difference, but the summer-winter difference.
Also in London.
Tonight,
The clock would
also in London.
Also in London.
Just to
Don't
confuse
worry.
everybody.
Yeah, but we have
Also in
tomorrow we
India, I
have to
guess.
care for the winter time.
And today's, see, the one difference is there.
Our Apple watches, they
No, today they change the time is, well, how?
tonight, yes.
Today time just change, no?
Von 3 auf 2.
So even now, today, now it will be 6 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
No, under 5 o'clock. After
Thank
9 o'clock.
you very much. It's 1 hour long.
Keine Ahnung, die Uhr stellt sich automatisch um. Wir dürfen eine Stunde länger schlafen.
They know it.
Eine Stunde zurück.
Eine Stunde eigentlich morgen, also mit heutiger Zeit bis
Morgen kann man eine Stunde mehr schlafen.
11 Uhr wäre das unser Gefühl.
Macht man eine Stunde zu früh auf, kann man ausnehmen.
Ist doch gut. I have one question.
Yeah.
You say knowledge and consciousness. Is this for you the same or different?
See, the two, we use the word
Because
knowledge.
you use always knowledge, what I learn as consciousness.
That's okay, the synonyms.
The same.
One more word also, we use consciousness, knowledge and awareness also. There's no problem. See, sometimes better to use. I use the word consciousness a lot. But the very beginning when I teach, today is only introductory class, isn't it? Only introduction. And I had to do introduction in a different way. See, when I teach people regularly, 18 hours of teaching I do to give introduction. And what I do in 18 hours, 10, 20 hours, 25 hours, I do it in 2-3 hours. Here. Because they all come, give their precious time, they have to benefit from the teaching. At the same time, they should not go back confused also. If they go back with understanding, it's okay, but they should not go back with confusion. So I try to give them what people need to say. There's a way how you introduce a teaching. As a traditional teacher, so much of teaching I've been doing. There's method how I introduce the teaching. There are different ways of introducing. Then I can go very systematically, very gradually, take step by step, bring the people back, do some, keep them with me and see they are following me. I gradually unfold, make them understand. Then it takes 20 classes, 25 classes, sometimes 18 classes I do, 18 hours of, 20 hours, 25 hours of teaching, 20 hours of teaching. But now, within few hours, I want to do some introduction. It can't be the same, but still definitely they don't miss anything. So there's a very different way of doing it. Instead of doing a lot of things, I make them understand. So at least this is clear now. Now, even though it is made understood very clearly, now the question comes, okay, how does Upanishad help me arrive at the reality of the whole as the reality of myself, as my own self, and the truth of I? I have to arrive at it. So that's what we said, we continue to talk. Anyway, so here Upanishad also emphasizes an important other thing is, it is not that just by listening one day you understand things, but really to see clearly how wave is water, the entire ocean is also water, what is there is only water, and the differences I am perceiving, the divisions I am seeing, in spite of perceiving, experiencing, I can see the fact of everything being one. Isn't it? One and the only water. The same way, we don't need to deny our perception. We can't change our perception. The perception of divisions and differences will continue to be there even after knowing. But still we can understand how essentially everything is one. That fact we can understand. But it is a very, very abstract fact. All it is as one is, truth is an abstract fact, subtlest fact. Even to understand these physics equations, which much subtle facts, you need a lot of time and understanding, a lot of steps are involved there. You have to go step by step to arrive at how to understand E is equal to mc squared also. The steps involved. So this is much subtler fact. My God, you have to see all the tangible forms with different names and functions and then things and experiencing here, which includes your own body, mind, complex also, and still you have to see the non-difference. You have to see the unity in diversity. It's not an easy joke, isn't it? So it is not difficult, but it is definitely, this is an abstract knowledge, means you also have to become mentally refined. So what Shastra says is, to have that knowledge, see, if you have to get your masters, you must be already a graduate. Only then you can enter into the university to do your masters. Don't you think you must be qualified to become more qualified? You cannot enter into any university without qualification, adequate qualification. If you want to do postdoctoral fellowship, you must be already a PhD doctorate, must have already doctorate. You must be qualified to become more qualified. So any knowledge presupposes the qualification. And here also this abstract, subtlest knowledge of the abstract fact that all that is there is essentially one. Therefore there is no I or this. Ultimately everything is one. To see this abstract fact, to understand this fact also, you must be qualified. You must become qualified, you must be eligible for this knowledge. So the Upanishad tells you, even though you have the Shastra, Vedanta is the Pramana. Okay, you are using the Vedanta Shastra. You are studying the Shastra. So you have also you know the value of the knowledge. So you are interested in the knowledge. You want to attain knowledge. Now you are so committed to the pursuit of knowledge, you want to attain. Because you know the value of knowledge. So if you simply study, still you are studying the Shastra, you are using the Brahman, operating the means of knowledge, still the knowledge may not take place immediately. You know why? You are not yet qualified. Suppose now I want to study in Germany. Universities are there, courses are offered. I have interest. I am not qualified to join any university here. Interest is there on my part to study. I know the value of knowledge. University also offers courses. But unfortunately, I am not qualified. Admission will be given to me, no, without any fail, but I must be provided I am qualified. Similarly here also, Shastram I am studying, I am interested in the knowledge. I know the value of knowledge. Shastram is also available, teacher is available. Still, I don't know, I am studying knowledge. I understand, I seem to be understanding as I am studying, at the same time I have not understood. Or I am not benefiting from the knowledge. Still I allow myself to be emotionally disturbed. Why? In spite of studying, the people who are not at all exposed to any Vedantic teaching, still they are confused and they are worried and all those things. They are disturbed, emotionally shattered. But people who are exposed to the Vedantic teaching also, in spite of being exposed to the teaching also, in spite of studying also, they are also equally disturbed. What is the difference? That doesn't mean that people who are studying are useless.
There's no difference.
Doesn't mean Vedanta is not useless. No. You are not ready for that. Therefore, Upanishad also emphasizes the fact that see that you become qualified for that. We are going to end with a small bhajan. We'll end up with France. We'll end the class with a small bhajan if they don't mind, if they want to.
They
stay.
must go, the
Train.
children are waiting or something like this.
Okay. Therefore, it's very important to be qualified. So that is where Upanishad emphasis is, see that you also become qualified. How to become eligible for this knowledge? So Upanishad says, you must be mentally disciplined, which means one must be adequately mentally pure and steady. Certain degree of mental purity is required. Mental steadiness is required. In Sanskritam, we say antahkarana shuddhi, antahkarana naischalya, or chitta shuddhi, chitta naischalya. Means mental purity and mental steadiness. There's you need. Now the focus must be on how am I going to be ready for this knowledge. It is very easy to attain knowledge, very easy to discover the truth, very easy to discover happiness, very easy to take ownership of happiness as one's own real nature. It is very easy to revel in the vision of fullness, but to become qualified for the vision involves effort. So attainment of knowledge is not at all difficult. Becoming qualified for knowledge involves effort. Therefore, how can I become qualified for knowledge? How can I become qualified for knowledge? So we say the mental purity and mental stillness. How can I can I become mentally pure and steady? And that is where Veda Shastram teaches us the unique way of life. Here you have no shortcut method, no choice here. There is a way of life. How I should live my life. And that way of life is called Sanatanaha Dharmaha. The eternal way of life. It's a Karma Yoga. Life of Karma Yoga. Why you call it eternal way of life? This way of life is governed by the knowledge of values, governed by the values, governed by dharma, governed by universal values. Because the way of life is governed by universal values, dharma, it is acceptable, suitable, relevant, for all people of all times, of all cultures, of all places. Why is it relevant? Why is suitable? Why is acceptable? Why it is non-deniable? Because non-refutable? Because it is governed by the universal values. The way of life is governed by universal values. Because they're based on important two facts. The way of life is based on two facts, universally acceptable, non-refutable facts. What are those two facts? Nobody in the world wants to get hurt. Is it a fact or not? Who wants to get hurt? Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Indian, African, nobody wants to get hurt. It's a fact, isn't it? Nobody wants to be unhappy. So nobody wants to be unhappy is a fact. A universally acceptable fact. Nobody wants to get hurt is also a universally acceptable fact. And the whole way of life is governed by, based on these two facts, governed by universal values. Therefore, it is acceptable, suitable for all people of all times, of all cultures, of all places. Therefore, this way of life is called Sanatanaha Dharmaha. Dharma, the way of life, governed by dharma, the universal values, which is Sanatanaha, means suitable for all times, eternal, eternally acceptable. And it is Karma Yoga. And what is that way of life? Shastra teaches, and following which it is said, you don't need to worry about anything. If you are very clear what you are living your life for, this way exposure to the Shastra teaching must give you this understanding. I am 100% clear as a human being what I am living this life for. What is that accomplishing which my life will become absolutely successful and meaningful and complete. I am very clear means you have Purushartha Nischaya. Purushartha Nischaya means you are definite about the purpose of living this life. You have no doubt about the ultimate purpose of living this life. Understand? Once you are very clear about the purpose of living this life, you know the value of knowledge of the truth, you are committed to the pursuit of knowledge of the truth, which is self-knowledge, you are a spiritual person. As a spiritual, that is when you become a spiritual person. Doesn't matter how much, whether you worship the God, you don't worship the God, whether you pray to the God, you don't pray to the God. If you pray and worship, you are very religious. Very nice, very beautiful to be religious. But only when you discover the desire to know the truth, you become spiritual. Once you are spiritual, you are following this way of life and you are ethical. You are worshipful and prayerful, you are religious, but you are spiritual. As a spiritual person, you are religious and you are ethical. A religious person need not be spiritual and ethical, but a spiritual person is ethical and religious. It becomes very clear. Isn't it? So, this way of life, what is that way of life Shastra teaches? What is that attitude I should have in my life? How it will in due course of time gradually contributes for mental refinement. How it makes my mind subtler to be able to understand, retain and assimilate the teaching and benefit from the teaching. That's what Shastram says. That is why the word yoga very loosely used everywhere. Whether you do cooking, whether you do any physical activity, whether you do some mundane activities to earn your livelihood, whether you do involve in religious activities, worshipping, praying, etc., doesn't matter. Whatever you do, the action you do physically, whatever you do, whatever you speak orally, whatever you think mentally, your mental, oral, physical activities, all the activities can be called the one word yoga if anything and everything you do contributes for preparing your mind for knowledge. That's why yoga is a term you mean to say preparatory discipline. Yoga also means knowledge. A discipline, anything you do, it contributes for preparing your mind for knowledge. It makes the mind eligible for where knowledge can rise. Then you call it yoga. It's not simply doing exercise. So when does your asanas you practice, the exercises you practice, even the aerobics you go to, or the gym you go and do something, you walk, run, you jog, do anything you do, everything becomes yoga. If you do it, if you follow the way of life, for what? To prepare your mind for knowledge. And if you are clear about, if you are Purushartha Nischaya, if you are definite about the purpose of living this life, you are committed to the pursuit of knowledge, and you do everything in conformity with dharma to prepare your mind for knowledge, then it is yoga. Okay? Without Purushartha Nischaya, without being commitment to the pursuit of knowledge, without knowing the value of knowledge, even if you practice meditation, it is only a mental exercise. It can't be called yoga. Understand? When does meditation become yoga? When does your speech becomes yoga? When does your songs become yoga? When does your singing becomes yoga? Your speaking becomes yoga. Your walking becomes yoga. You do whatever you do becomes yoga. When? Only when you have Purushartha Nischaya. When you are very definite about the purpose of living this life. Only when you are committed to the pursuit of the knowledge, and when you do everything to live your life, and you live your life to prepare your mind for knowledge, ultimately for moksha. Only then it becomes yoga. Otherwise, without Purushartha Nischaya, without being committed to the pursuit of knowledge, without knowing the value of knowledge, simply you do whatever you do, it is just an exercise, mere action. Okay? So, what converts, how your action becomes converted into yoga? What makes your action a yoga? What makes even yogasana an action? When the meditation also is only an action. Is it clear? Okay. Now we will do conclude today's session. You are still welcome to stay back and listen to my chanting class, which I'm going to do for London. But this session I'm ending. There is some small chant. Then we can continue tomorrow. Okay? I can still continue even until 8 o'clock. I can cancel that class. I can do for you also, if you are not tired. I think you need a break, don't you? You can listen. I'm going to do some chanting classes afterwards. You can listen to me. You can also join the classes. The main plain chanting class, I also explain every word by word. Also I explain sometimes. Okay. Any doubt you have? Question in what I said? So tomorrow, what I'm going to cover? How the Shastram helps me arrive at the reality, obtaining as my own self, the methodology. Then, even if I do tomorrow, not tomorrow itself we'll know everything. It has to be studied continuously for length of time, systematically, only then there will be clarity. Now definitely I cannot say you have not understood at all anything, you understood so much today. But still, for the clarity to enhance, for you to have much clearer and clearer understanding, the study must be continued. Okay, one thing. And the way of life, how I should live my life, to prepare my mind for this knowledge. How to convert my life into a life of yoga. Isn't it? When you say, when whatever you do becomes yoga, the action becomes yoga. Any exercise becomes yoga. Proper action when it is done, we call it worship. So converting one's action into worship is converting one's action into yoga. So whole life can be converted into a life of worship. Whole life, your breathing will be an offering to the Lord, will be worship. Your walking will be an worship. Whole life can be converted into a life of worship. Om. Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram. Keshava Madhava Raja Ram Keshava Madhava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Patita Pavana Sitaram Rama Rama Jaya Raja Ram Rama Rama Jaya Sitaram Rama Rama Jaya Raja Ram Rama Rama Jaya Sitaram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Keshava Madhava Raja Ram Keshava Madhava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Patita Pavana Sitaram Rama Rama Jaya Raja Ram Rama Rama Jaya Sitaram Rama Rama Jaya Raja Rama Rama Ram, Rama 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 Rama, 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 Rama Sita Ram, Rama 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 Rama, Rama Sita Ram, Rama 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 Rama, Rama Rama Ram, Rama 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 Rama, Rama Rama Ram, Rama 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 Rama, Rama Sita 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 Ram, Jai Jai Ram 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 Sita Ram. I will say Janaki Kanta Smaranam. You all should say Jai Jai Rama Rama. Okay? Jai Jai Rama Rama. You should all say. Janaki Kanta Smaranam. Jai Jai Rama Rama. Very good. Janaki Kanta Smaranam. Jai Jai Rama Rama. Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva. Say that. Hara Hara Mahadeva. Okay. Janaki Kanta Smaranam. Jai Jai Rama Rama. Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamudachyate bless all of you with the fulfillment of all your 8 days wishes. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Disperse.